Hi guys, and welcome to a new video on character design. Now, I found a meme on DeviantArt, which was through the Lion King fandom, and it's to draw 6 of the semi-canon characters. I haven't actually got a design for 2 of them. I haven't got a design for Mitu or Copa, so those are the 2 you're going to be seeing in this video. And the way I start is I think, well, what's my headcanon for these characters? Who are they? Where are they from? Who are their parents? Now, a lot of the time with Mitu, the first character you're going to see, his parents are Scar and Serafina, which is Nala's mother. I decided to go for something slightly different. I went for, what if Mitu was Nala's son and not her brother? His father is still Scar, because why not? I mean, why not include drama in these things? So with that in mind, I've got the basic body shape here. He's kind of got Nala's body shape rather than Scar's. And he's definitely got a much thicker style of Scar's Widow Peak mane. Now, the thing is, when you're drawing a character like this, you've got to really think about how and where they fit into the story, which is the case with a lot of semi-canon characters, really. So I've made him kind of skinny in the legs and kind of skinny in the body as well, matching what Scar is like. But when it comes to his face, I went for much more of a sort of rounder, kinder look. He's not as angular or sharp as Scar is. He does have Scar's nose shape, which is something he does get from his father. And I just decided to try and work out, well, how am I going to do this? And that's the thing with character design, if you're doing a fan character, definitely 100% use the parents that are from that fandom. So, with example for Nala and Scar, he looks like Scar from a distance, just he looks much more healthy. He's got, like I said, Scar's nose, he's got Nala's little chin fluff thing. His eyes are a lot more almond shaped, like Nala. His actual general facial structure is kind of a mix between Mufasa and Scar, in that he's got the rounded cheeks and not the very fluffy ones. Eyebrows, again, they're kind of like Mufasa, because they're quite thick. When you're making a character and it's linked to a fandom, I do recommend using as many family members as you can possibly find. Don't just go for the parents, because you're going to end up using very similar designs to a lot of other people. But definitely use like uncles, aunts, grandparents, brothers, sisters, anything you could think of. And it usually will give you a much better rounded character than simply using the parents. So as you can see here, he's got Mufasa's kind of thick mane, but Scar's kind of widow peak in the front style. And yeah, that's basically how I work it out. I've decided to keep his paws uncoloured, like Nala. And the reason I've done this is because in my headcanon for Mitu, he's Nala's son, but she doesn't raise him. Serafina does. And Serafina actually keeps him secret. He's not known as Nala's son, he's known as Serafina's son and Nala's brother. And that's because it's the easiest. Nala doesn't want anything to do with him. It was a traumatic experience for her, so she really doesn't want to even know him as her son. She doesn't even want to know him as her brother, if I'm honest. There is some drama later on that links to that whole thing. Bearing in mind that Simba, when he comes back, doesn't know that Nala has a son already. We'll get to that when I get to Copa. But back to Mitu for a minute. He looks generally like, I've given him a dual coloured mane, and the reason I did that was because I wanted to. It's not a usual thing in the Lion King fandom to do, especially not with Me Too. Most Me Too's are either Scar clones or they are Nala clones, or they're White Lions. Those are the three you got. You can see here I'm searching through everything I can to try and find colours, which I do not have, so I have to go online and get those. It's always a good idea to do this. It's always a good idea to try and get screenshots that are in the general same sort of lighting, really. There's no point getting one of Scar in the nighttime and one of Nala in the daytime. You're not going to get a good colour range there. And don't use fan art. Sometimes the colours are wrong in fan art and sometimes you can barely tell. So here I've got my picture of Scar, and I've chosen a picture of Nala as a cub because it's a clear image of her eye colour, of her general colours, really, so that's fine. When you look at it and you colour pick, the colours are roughly quite similar, so I decided just to lighten up Scar's pelt colour and use that as Me Too's main colour. Now once you've got that, you're pretty much set, because with character design and with the Lion King fandom character design in particular, the main colour, once you've got the main pelt colour, that is what matters. That is what determines what the other colours are. If you want to give someone a black mane or black hair or black anything, don't just use black. Use a very, very, very dark brown. It'll make it easier for you to shade later on. But it'll look functionally similar to black, which is what you want. Back to what I said about the pelt colour mattering more. With Lion King characters, the pelt colour determines how light everything else is, and what colour range everything else is. You can see that I've chosen to go quite light, and that's because of Scar. He's got quite light underbelly and everything, whereas Nala hasn't. Nala's is much more warm in colour, while Scar's is more cold. So you can use general things like that, but you don't have to cherry pick every colour from the parents or from whichever character you're using as inspiration. It's more a case of, as long as you've got the main pelt colour or main skin colour down, then you can pretty much choose whatever colour you want, as long as it fits. So, like I said, I've left his toes uncoloured. I've decided to go for Nala's kind of eye mask thing, where it's lighter on the bottom, still light on top, but a little bit darker. For his eyes then, well, for his ears I went brown. For his eyes, I decided to try and use Scar's eyes more than anything. And I went with green, because I like green eyes. And that's basically my general explanation on how you can design a character while using two canon, as it were, characters as the parents. The only issue I have with this design, and I figured out once I coloured in this bit here, is that by giving him a two-tone mane, he looks more like Malka, which is another semi-canon character, which I could use to my advantage, but I probably won't. So anyway, this is Me Too. He actually does grow up in my universe, and yeah, that's what he looks like. He's a decent mix with both his parents, but he also manages to fit neatly into could be Nala's brother rather than Nala's son, because you'd never know unless I told you. So I think what I went for when I was doing this meme is I want them to have a story to them. I don't want them to just be random, yeah, this is a nice design. And that's what I thought up doing the video, is by making sure that the designs had meaning, really. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Me Too anyway. moving on to what I would do if it's a character that you don't really like. That's coming up now. When you're thinking about characters that other people also use, like Copa, like Me Too, like everybody else, then try not to copy anyone else, even though it's quite hard when there are only finite designs available. But with Copa, he doesn't even get much screen time, as it were, in the universe that I've made up in my head. I went for the Simba clone because it's easier and because that's what he is in the comics, and most people go with that. The only thing is I've made him a little bit lighter, and I've given him a dark blackish brown main colour. Again, using elements from Scar, using elements from my versions of Mufasa and Scar's parents, using elements of Sarabi, using elements of Nala and her family, everything like that, just keep doing that. It works really well. Sorry. But yeah, Copa doesn't actually survive to this age in my headcanon. He, because Nala's quite malnourished when she's pregnant with him due to, having to look for Simba in the jungle, being away from home God knows how long, everything like that, well, she's not in the best state, really, to give birth. So Copa is born quite weak. I do headcanon him as the cub at the end of the first film. And the thing is, he dies in infancy, he dies quite young. And the drama that I alluded to earlier with Me Too is that Nala blames him for Copa's death. A lot of people have Copa killed by Zira or killed by hyenas or, sort of chased away and then comes back as an adult, and yeah, I don't. I have him die in infancy because it's just easier. And it explains Simba's slight overprotectiveness in Lion King 2. But yeah, Nala is very, very affected by his death, as she would be. And she basically blames the son that she hates, that is her son, so Me Too, for the death of her true love son. It's not anything personal, it's purely because Copa is Simba's son, and he didn't live, while Scar's son has lived. Now Simba doesn't agree with Nala on this at all. He knows that it's not Me Too's fault. It can't be. So Simba's the more rational person who's like, more rational character who's like, well, hold on, it can't be his fault. What's going on? And then the whole truth about Me Too being Nala's son comes out. To Simba's credit, it doesn't actually affect the way he looks at the guy. It really doesn't. He's, at this point, he knows that Me Too is his cousin, and now his stepson, and it doesn't bother him. Or at least it doesn't bother him as much as you would expect it to. So that's the general gist of the story between these two. I haven't really fully fleshed it out or fully figured it out. But as you can see, I just went for normal Simba coloration on Copa, which is not especially creative. But at the same time, it doesn't matter because he doesn't have a large part in the story. If you are doing something like this, if you are making a headcanon or anything, if a character doesn't have a large part in the story, then there is no point wasting too much creativity on them. Because otherwise you run the risk of that character becoming so beloved by you and anyone who follows you that you want to change your story, and that can get a bit messy. Creator's darling type of thing. Kill the ones you love. You might have heard that phrase with fanfictions like kill your darlings, and it's true. If you love a character too much, there is a risk that you will go above and beyond to keep them alive. And that's not the way to actually properly do anything. And that's generally my takeaway here with creating characters and creating visuals for them. Use as much of their family as possible. use as much of their history as possible. Make sure it fits with the established canon, because if it doesn't, like for example, I couldn't have Cobra be turned into a unicorn, because that's not established canon at all. So be careful to really figure out where this character fits in and how they fit in. It doesn't matter if they're a bit of a Mary Sue, because I hate that term anyway. I really do. It doesn't make sense as a term. But just make sure that they have flaws, they have drama, they have something that really does link them to the canon or makes them a good character in your eyes. There are plenty of other people who will talk to you about making well-rounded characters. I might do a video in the future on it. But for now, that's really all I can say, is that try to make sure you keep the canon in mind when you're designing a character for that fandom. Keep the style in mind, keep the colours in mind, make sure they fit generally, but not only generally, and make sure they also fit, what's the word, neatly into that fandom. So yeah, I mean, guys, I would love to hear your thoughts, so please comment down below with a semi-canon character from a fandom that you love, and tell me how you imagine them. Let's talk about it. Tell me how you imagine them, tell me, who their parents are, or how they're related to the protagonist or antagonist, and let's have a discussion about different types of semi-canon characters all together in the comments down below. So yeah, that's basically what I have to say. I hope that this video has been somewhat useful, and I will see you again in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it does help out. And that's basically all I need to tell you.